Welcome to the We Shine Well podcast, where I have real conversations with thought leaders in wellness to help you live your most vibrant, aligned, and purposeful life. I'm your host, Zoe Kelsey, founder of We Shine Well. Here, we share honest stories, gems of wisdom, and insight to spark clarity and guide your next right step, so you can shine brighter from the inside out. Now let's dive in. Today on the We Shine Well podcast, I'm joined by a dear friend, by someone who has shaped the spiritual and wellness landscape for an entire generation. Krista Williams is the co-founder of Almost 30, a global community, brand, and top spirituality and wellness podcast with over 100 million downloads. She's also the co-creator of Morning Microdose, a top-ranked daily inspiration podcast beloved across the world. Beyond the mic, Krista is a coach, retreat leader, speaker, and creator of transformative programs like Seen and Heard Mastermind, her Fully Expressed Tour, Metamorphosis, and True Essence retreats, all centered on helping women return to their power, deepen their self-trust, and experience more love, authenticity, and alignment in every area of their lives. Krista is known for her honesty, depth, humor, and the way she blends spirituality with the very real, very human parts of life. She talks openly about tuning into your intuition, dating as a spiritual person, female friendships, parts work, body acceptance, and what it means to truly come home to yourself. Today's conversation is an invitation into truth, expression, and deeper embodiment, the kind of conversation that stays with you long after it ends. Let's dive in. Hi, Krista. I am so excited to have you on the podcast today. I feel like it is like a true full circle moment. You've been such a blessing in my personal life and journey this past year, and following the nudges of having you be a speaker at the summit to joining your retreats and all of the expansion. So I'm so excited for this conversation today and for you to just share more. And like I've shared with you, you are incredible on social, but you're even better in person.
That's like it's like such a beautiful thing, because it's like, oh my God, that feels so right and true. And then sometimes I'm like, dang it, how can I make my social better? You know what I mean? That whenever you get a compliment, you're like, wait a second. But it's been such a joy to work with you and know you and see you grow. And you're just such a loving, present person. And I'm just grateful for your work in my business and your work that we've done together. And I really look forward to seeing you really continue to shine in 2026. And I think the podcast is going to be great. I'm so proud of you for actually taking the leap and following your gut.
Well, thank you. And before this, we were talking about too, it's like those leaps where you only see like the outcome, but it's what is all of the work and even that inner work that goes on behind that. And you talk so much about expanding your vessel. And what do you mean by that? And what's possible from that place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the concept of expanding your vessel, there's a Kabbalistic kind of root to that. But then there's also, people like Gay Hendricks have talked about before. And then there's also in therapy, you talk about the window of tolerance. And your window of tolerance is like almost your capacity to handle things or understand things. We've all had moments in our life when we feel completely stretched. We're like, I am running this, I'm doing this, I have all these things, lots going on at work, a lot's going on at home, a lot's going on with my friends. And you just feel kind of at your limit or your capacity. So your vessel's kind of overwhelmed or overloaded. But I think also in life, there's also our vessel as like our body or our energetic body as your ability to take and hold in light. We are light beings. We are, angelic if we want. And your ability to expand your vessel is being able to take in more light, which is taking in more goodness, taking in more truth. And so in my life, I've expanded my vessel in a few different ways. People can think about expanding their vessel for good things, for abundance, for love, for opportunities. All the things that you want in life happen with an expanded vessel. If I was someone that lived in Ohio, so I grew up in Ohio, my thought and understanding of what was possible was that I would go to school by my house, I would work at a place close to my house, and then I would get a house, have kids, go on vacation, and retire. My vessel only saw that as what was possible. But through, expanders and through people that inspired me, I was able to see that my vessel could hold more, that there was more potential and opportunity for me. And so with that, I just took a small step. At that time, it was moving to Chicago after college instead of staying home, expanded my capacity a little bit. I found a job. Broke up with my long-term boyfriend, expanded my capacity a little bit, quit that job that I hated, expanded my capacity a little bit, and then moved, to New York, expanded my capacity a little bit. And I followed these little pings that really just expanded my ability to understand what was possible for me and really just ability to handle hard things that would eventually lead me to further along the path of my dreams. When we expand our vessel, it doesn't always feel good. When you're kind of expanding anything, it doesn't always feel good. Usually it feels a little crunchy to get bigger, but I did it in small steps and small doses so I could metabolize that as I really stepped into the more full version of myself. So people can find more abundance, more happiness, more joy when they do that, but it's going to happen through making hard decisions.
Mm-hmm. And you've, in that vein too, like you've supported so many women through almost 30, you're coaching your retreats. Can you tell us a little bit more? You touched on it, but a little bit more about your journey and more so this chapter that you're in right now, personally, creatively, and in your business?
Yeah. So Almost 30 really started with, on the closet floor. So Almost 30 is a podcast that I run with my best friend, Lindsay Simsick, and we've been doing it for 10 years now. So we started it in 2016 when podcasts weren't really big. People didn't really have podcasts. They weren't such a normal thing. And it wasn't really normal for two women that were best friends to also create a podcast. We decided to go without a network, to go without, the standard route and really just do it on our own. But we started it because we felt really lost in life. I remember feeling like there was a timeline that I should have been on, but I wasn't. Like, I should be married. I should have kids. I should be in a job that I love. I should have things figured out by the time I was 30, and I didn't. And neither did Lindsay. And so, in this feeling of feeling lost, but also feeling found in our relationship and feeling so connected to one another, we started the podcast from our closet floors and just decided to make it work. And it grew from there. So over the next couple of years, we really, really grew the podcast from, the ground up. And it really became the space and place for me to grow and evolve really publicly and share what I was going through really honestly and vulnerably, and then become someone that would eventually go through things to become a teacher. With the concept of Dharma, oftentimes, people teach from their wounds. And so I've gone through things like divorce, body image issues, mother wound issues, codependency, things like that. And through all of this learning, whether it's with experts on the podcast or just in my normal life, I was able to find tools and skills that I could eventually teach to the women of our community. And that's where it really became more of me as a teacher through my retreats, through my coaching, through my one-on-ones, and really this desire and passion to help people move a little bit further along their path and connect them more deeply to themselves, and essentially to help them feel less alone. Because I know as spiritual beings, sometimes you can feel really alone on your journey, kind of feel like you're the only one that's asking big questions or wanting more, or feeling like your life is not what it is or what it should be. And I've always wanted to help people understand that there is a purpose, that they're here. They have a path. And as much as they feel lost at times, their soul knows what it's doing, and it's leading them to somewhere greater than they could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm. And was there any kind of an awakening for you that was like, it's time for me to step into this role as more of that coach and guide?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say there's two things. I'll never forget. We were talking to our coach, probably like 6 years ago. And I just remember being on the phone with him, and I was like, we've built our business and our podcast being like, we are one of you. We are growing along with you. I'm figuring it out. I don't have it all together, all of these things. And that's true. That was, true until a point. And then there was a point where I had done a lot of work, and I had been in therapy. I had done, multiple trainings. I had been doing the podcast and interviewing experts in the space for 4 to 5 years at that point. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm more of a teacher now. I don't feel like I'm lost. I don't feel like I'm looking for answers. I feel really at peace with myself and grounded in myself. And I remember being like, I feel like I want to be more of a teacher now than a student. And I feel like I'm ready to initiate myself into that moment. And talking to him about that, like where I did feel truly embodied in it, and it felt truthful for me to be in that moment. And then it was really, probably the first retreat that I hosted. A lot of what I do is so intuitively led that I don't even know if I think about it. It just kind of happens. I really just, it's happening. Like there's never like, I'm going to host a retreat. What does that mean? It's like, a retreat is happening and I'm going to host it. Like, and it happened really beautifully and naturally in Ibiza. And I came into it thinking like, I'm going to gather women. We're going to be together in community. We're going to be, connecting. Like I had this idea. And then when I stepped out in front of the women at the first circle, I really, really realized that I was here to lead and guide and I was here to teach. And in that, it became like such a gift to witness the women. And it also became like a responsibility because I believe as a teacher that it is my job to not be perfect, but it is my job to be setting the standard energetically, setting the standard with integrity, setting the standard with confidence of like what it means to truly live an embodied life of peace, of love, of reverence, and of all the things that I'm teaching. So I felt really excited in that moment that I'd reached that point where I could stand in front of these women and be like, I am a teacher. And then I also felt this weight of the responsibility of really being the woman that could stand in front of them and teach them things that I felt like I truly was living from.
And for somebody listening that's just kind of like learning and starting on this path, what does it mean to trust your intuition or live in an embodied way?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the intuition is such an important thing that I think a lot of us talk about, but don't really understand. And sometimes people know if their intuition is talking, sometimes they don't know if it's fear. And a lot of people have different ways that their intuition speaks to them. So I'll first say that your intuition is unique to you. It's the voice and guide in your life that is going to take you to where you want to go. Like the best places in life, the best relationships, the best situations will be led by your intuition. But you may hear your intuition differently than other people. So for me, it's claircognizance. It's just a knowing. I have a knowing that I'm supposed to do something and I kind of make it happen from there. It's almost like not a thought. It's just an awareness in my body. I have a friend, Olivia, who's amazing and she has really prophetic dreams. So her intuition will speak to her through dreams and imagery and symbols. I have another friend who has a lot of signs and numbers in her life. So she'll see a bunch of numbers or angel numbers, or she'll see like an animal totem, or she'll see a bunch of different things that will communicate to her in that way. Some of my clients have sensory. They'll feel feelings in their body. They'll feel tingling, or they'll get goosebumps, or they'll feel like hot, or they'll feel like their ears burning. Some of my clients have a voice that speaks to them that's like, go this way, follow this, do that. Some of my clients have, just like images that they'll get. So they'll kind of see an image of a place that they need to go or like a person that they need to meet. So your intuition will speak to you in different ways. And it's really important that you pay attention to how it communicates to you. For a lot of us, though, it's hard because we've been disconnected from our intuition. So for many of us as kids, we were kids and we were very sensory. We were very feeling. Many kids are very intuitive, but a lot of us, including myself, were told to not cry when we were crying. We were told to go talk to the person we didn't want to talk to. We were told to do the thing we didn't want to do, to sit in the class, to sit down, to not do this, to not do that, to eat this, to eat that. So our intuitive messages of I'm full, or I don't want to talk to them, or I want to sleep, or I want to cry, or I want to hold someone were usually denied by parents or the outside world. So it's a lot of our job to reconnect to that voice, to re-listen to that voice, to reconnect to the truth of who we are and that message we receive from the deepest, most truthful part of ourselves, which is our intuition. And our intuition is really the guide oftentimes to embodiment. So when we talk about embodiment, how I see it is embodiment is your soul and the frequency and consciousness of you is fully embodied energetically in your body. So when we feel like we're ungrounded and we feel like we're kind of floating through life and we don't feel like, really connected, oftentimes it's like a lot of the energy of our soul and our consciousness is kind of like disconnected or hanging on or not fully formed energetically in our body. So if we think of our body as cells, all of the cells are in our body, all of our consciousness is in our body, all of our presence is in our body when we are embodied. It's the truth of us embodied in our physical body. And I know for myself over time that I've found different periods in time where I was less embodied or not. A good example is when it was like 2016 and I met Lindsay and I was struggling with my career. I had quit my job at that point and I was, doing 5 different jobs. I was serving, I was nannying, I was doing this weird online stuff and I just was lost. And I also was doing like 2 HIIT classes a day. I was getting my 10,000 steps. I was eating vegan keto. I was in a relationship that wasn't aligned. There was a lot of points in the day when I was disassociating. I get on the
Yeah.
SoulCycle bike, I disassociate because it's so hot and sweaty and it's crazy in there and it's sensory overload. And then I'm in a relationship that I don't feel good in. So I'm kind of disassociating. My energy is leaving my body. So there wasn't much opportunity for my energy to be grounded in the present moment and in my body. And just over time in my life, I've really made it a commitment to be as grounded as possible in my body and embody the truth of who I am. So just last thing on that, for people who want to be more embodied, and benefits of being more embodied are a more joyful life, more pleasurable life, more like connected life, like happier life. It's everything to be embodied. One of the simple things that I do is just touch my body like throughout the day. So I'll put my hands on my heart and just kind of connect in with my physical body, just reminding myself that there's a physical body here, that it's not just my mind all the time. Or I'll think about my feet on the ground. Like right now I'm standing talking to you and I'm thinking about the feet anchored to the ground. So I have all four corners of my feet anchored to the ground. My body is present here, and I'm really, really thinking about my body. So just touching your body and thinking about your feet on the ground can be a really simple way to start, in addition to some of the other things that you could potentially do to feel more embodied.
And it's like, how can we tune into that intuition to live more in alignment too?
Mhm.
And it's like, I personally have nudges, but then the mind body connection is so
Yeah.
powerful, where I do these like women's breathwork circles, and
Mhm.
people probably think I'm on a drug because I go to like an alternate universe of just like seeing things
Yeah.
and like that comes up, but it's just like so powerful when we
Mhm.
tune into that
Mhm.
intuition. Like, I saw my future daughter the other
Mhm.
day in some breathwork journey that was
I
kind of
love that.
wild.
Yeah, you're
Um,
very sensitive. You're very open intuitively. Like you're very accessible. And when you do things, like you have and it's very good that you surround yourself with amazing women that are of integrity and great because of how sensitive you are, because it supports you and your expansion and growth, and it allows you to be soft in your sensitivity.
well, thank you. Yes, I
Mhm.
mean, community is key. And like, where are you today? Like, where
Mhm.
has your intuition led you
Mm.
personally, in relationships, in your work, and all the things?
Yeah, I think, this right now is probably a season for me of reclamation. I
Mm.
just feel like the past decade of building almost 30 and supporting women, around the world has been the greatest gift. Like to believe that it makes me emotional to think about. Um, and I always give myself spaciousness around emotion. So that's
Mhm.
just another tip that if I ever have an emotion that comes up, I always say yes and I take a pause
Mhm.
to allow myself like the gift to feel. But to believe that I've been able to build something that supported people in their life with my best friend through almost 30 has been like the greatest gift.
Mhm.
And right now for me, it's about refinement in my business. And you've been supportive of that as well, refining things in the business. It's about trusting my voice even more. It's about anchoring into the work I'm really here to do individually. Like I'm here to do big work
Mhm.
individually. Almost 30 was work always in partnership with Lindsay, partnership with our speakers, partnership with community, partnership with our guests. Like we had partnership the entire way. Everything was partnership done with people. But I'm really, really, really looking forward to stepping into my own season individually. And I'm really learning how to soften while I'm also expanding. So my
Mhm.
sister, it's funny, just a little story on that. My sister
Yeah.
was here last weekend and I'm in a new relationship. And I was like, so what do you think? And she's like, you're definitely in your feminine. I was like, I think
Thanks,
that's
sis.
backhanded, but whatever. And I was like, so what do you mean by that? And I just start laughing. She's like, well, I'm really used to you being super strong and confident and like kind of leading. And I've never seen you more soft. I've never seen you like taking the back seat. I've never seen you be more feminine and like be more just relaxed into receiving. And
Mhm.
I don't know if she meant it positively, but I took it very positively because
Yeah.
I've done so much work in the past 2 years of softening and really allowing
Mhm.
myself to be led and guided, whether that's in romantic relationship or whether that's in just life in general, and being someone that can soften while also expanding my reach, both with my audience and what I'm doing, expanding my income, expanding my capacity, expanding, what I'm doing. And so lastly, creatively, I'm really allowing the work to be even more embodied and more intimate with people, more unapologetic. And I think it's like the arrival after the long period of a becoming.
I also want to acknowledge like how powerful this is that you are like in this moment and that you've shared so much of your journey going through to be able to support women and meet them exactly where they are and fully see them, hear them, know them, understand them through your journey, but also lived experience, because that's also such a gift that not everybody has.
Yeah. I am grateful for that because I think about that with our audience. Like whenever I have women that I work with one-on-one in my coaching, they've most likely known me for years. So they've actually seen me evolve and they've seen me transform. So it's like the proof is kind of present online. Like anyone could see my trajectory or see my resume as my life body of work. And so it's such a gift to have that. Sometimes, of course, it makes me cringe and it's like horrible to think about the thousands of hours of content that's available about me, but you know, it is what it is.
It is what you make of it.
It is what you make of it. It is, what can you do?
Exactly. But I think it's powerful that you also touched on being able to soften and expand at the same time, because there's so much of this hustle culture, or I need to regulate my nervous system and just be like a monk and not do anything. But like, how can we have both doing and being and masculine and feminine coexist?
Yeah, I think firstly, the first thing that people can do is not demonize either side. So I think in the new wave of people wanting to be more in their feminine, it's such a beautiful thing. And, I honor that. Like it's such a beautiful desire to be more embodied in your feminine. And I've enjoyed it immensely. And we don't have to demonize the masculine to be in our feminine. You don't have to say that the masculine's bad, that it's, something that's impacting your life negatively, or that men are bad or anything like that. And I think what people have done has been like, oh, I'm in my too much in my masculine. I'm too much in my masculine. And it makes me sad because there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why you're responding in your masculine. And for most women, that's because they don't feel safe. So our natural state as women, if you're a woman, is to lean more feminine, to lean more into your softness, to lean more into your receptive mode, to lean more into your intuition, to all of the things that the feminine holds. But a lot of women are forced to be in their masculine because of the current structures and dynamics of culture and society. Working 9 to 5, 5 days a week in corporate jobs, sitting at desks, having to be breadwinners, having to be women that work full-time jobs and also take care of the kids, having women to be people that are running households a lot of times, and potentially in a dynamic with a partner who's not holding the masculine frame themselves. So obviously, you're going to feel unsafe. You're going to feel like you can't settle. You can't lean in and trust life and put on your masculine shield. So the first thing to do is to recognize that you potentially have a masculine shield up because you've been running on overdrive, you've been burning yourself out, and you really don't feel safe. And that was a lot for me. I was in a relationship where I didn't feel safe. And I was in a job where I didn't feel safe either. And almost 30 is the best. I love it. Lindsay's the best. And I didn't feel safe because I felt like it was all going to go away. I felt like something bad was going to happen. I felt like I was going to, get burned at the stake for something. I felt just scared that everything would crumble eventually. And so that caused me to overfunction. That caused me to work all the time. That caused me to push, push, push. And that caused me to just put on this like armor to protect myself. And so I had to really work on de-armoring and creating safety in my system. Safety that meant it's okay if almost 30 goes away. I'm okay. It's okay if this relationship goes away. I'm okay. It's okay if people say bad things about me online. I'm okay. And just working with that to soften into the feminine and relax my nervous system into a place where I feel safe in myself. I feel loving of myself, that no matter what, I have my own back. And now I can live a life that's calibrated more evenly rather than being too feminine or too masculine. So always just want to end with that my masculine is so incredibly important. And I'm so grateful for it, for holding it down, for helping me create discipline in my life, for helping me be strategic, to create structures, to help me be a savvy businesswoman. It's so necessary, but we never want to be too much of both. So I found a beautiful softness in the middle by creating safety within myself and by de-armoring all the ways in which I had the masculine shield up.
And that armor analogy, even for me, has been just like so powerful, because it's like, where are we getting in our own ways? And how is that causing us to show up in ways that are contradictory to like that highest self, that intuition of like where it's guiding us to? And it like all kind of comes back to like trust and trusting ourselves, trusting others, and like we want to be seen and we want to be loved at the end of the day. And it can be so hard for women to be visible and have those conversations and even like receive being seen, when at the end of the day, so many of us just desire that, to be seen emotionally, relationally, spiritually. And why do you think that is?
That women desire to be seen?
Why women have such a hard time being seen, even
Oh
if they
gosh.
desire to be seen?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thank you for that. So, man, there's so many things and it's such a beautiful question. So the first, why women are afraid to be seen. I had a really beautiful conversation with Dr. Laura on the podcast like a few weeks ago. And we were talking about how women are essentially prey to men. Like women are violated by men for the most part. We live in a society and culture where sometimes it's not safe to be around men, that the majority of women that I know have had some sexual assault or been abused or something like that. So there's a natural societal component where it's not always safe to be seen. I remember when I was younger, and I've experienced sexual assault and a variety of different things. And I remember being in high school and having that push pull so much, where I was like, I want everybody to think I'm so hot and attractive and sexy. And I need everyone to think I'm beautiful. And I'm terrified if they do, because that might mean I might get hurt. And that might mean that something bad is going to happen to me. So I would have this energy of like, yes, and then no, yes, and then no. And that's an example. The sexual assault thing is an example. And then someone else could have a situation also like I did, where I had a mother who I love, but we get along great, but who was struggling when I was younger. And so there was a competitive nature where she wanted me to be bright and shiny and successful and beautiful, but yet she was jealous of that. And she was competitive of that. So there was a part of me that was like, this is bad when I'm seen. It's bad because it makes mom sad. It makes her jealous. It makes her competitive. But she also wants me to be super shiny and thin and all of these things. So it can be this push-pull dynamic that we can get from society and culture, from experiences, from a lot of different things. You could also have a female friendship wound, where maybe you were in a group of women where, you had a sports game or something and you did really well. And then all of the girls started to turn on you because they were jealous of you, or, you were able to like succeed. And then a friend got mad at you because she was jealous. Like there have been many situations throughout our lives that make us feel like it's not safe to be seen. And that's kind of like a tribal thing as well. Sometimes when you stick out from the tribe, tall poppy syndrome, it can be very dangerous. So
Also the piece of rejection too.
yes, say more.
I mean, I even have the youngest memory of just feeling so like wanting to give my friend in first grade a big bear hug, but being rejected of all the love that I had to give, because there were a whole group of girls that were like, no, she doesn't want a big hug. So it was that earliest memory that goes back to like rejection of having such close friends that are girls, of the acceptance of love, of just like having so much to give and being rejected for that. So then when that goes back to like overachieving to be seen and finding my worth in that and unraveling that. And when it comes to like relationships too, it's like I can be loyal to a fault to an extent, because I can be so trusting, but I also let people in. Some people have a guard up, but I will just like let people in because I just innately trust them. And want the best for them, but there's still always a little bit of like, I have to prove myself, so I'm not going to be rejected.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it's like, and it's also like that little girl that's like, let me see, like, let me be seen, let me love, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be rejected. And I think that's a really great point to even just bring up that for many of us, we have younger parts of us, like for an example, that part of you that experienced that, she's oftentimes running parts of your life unconsciously. You
Mm-hmm.
know, one example is that I'll never forget mom said that her biggest fear in life was having a child that was fat. That was her biggest fear, was having a child that was fat. And so that little girl heard her mom say that and just clocked, like, I cannot be fat. Like, that is going to be the worst thing that ever happens to me. And that little girl was running a lot of my life for a long time because she was like, I cannot be fat. I will be rejected and unloved. And like yours, you have that little girl that got rejected from that circle. And so she's kind of like sometimes like, don't go to the circle. Don't love someone too much. You might get rejected. And we have these subconscious thoughts or these aspects of us or these parts from internal family systems that are really leading a lot of our lives unconsciously. And until we can really look at them and look at the beliefs that are running our lives, the more we're just going to be run by these things that are really limiting us and really aspects of us that really need love.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more about the parts
Mhm.
work piece and how you use that in your work?
Yeah. So internal family systems parts work is, started by Dick Schwartz, who's amazing. And he actually was a psychotherapist and he discovered it with his eating disorder patients. So he
Mm-hmm.
realized when he was working with patients that had bulimia that there was oftentimes like two things happening. It was like they would come in after a binge and they'd be like, oh, I binged. And it was like something came over me and I just went
Mm-hmm.
to the closet and I ate everything in the closet. But today, diet starts today. I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to eat everything right. I'm going to do everything. And then the cycle would continue. And it was almost like there's someone that makes them eat all of the food in the closet. And then there's someone that wants to diet and be thin. But these are not
Mm-hmm.
the same. And as a binger myself, a former binger, I really related to that. I was like, yeah, what is that? I felt like sometimes at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, it would be like I was possessed. Like it would be like
Yeah.
something has come over me and I need to eat 15 Quest bars, tons of peanut butter, granola. I need to eat everything in the closet that is like healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I'd have the part that was planning my workouts, counting the macros, counting my steps, and all of that. So when I started working with my own therapist on my things, she introduced the concept of parts to me, and it just really clicked because our brain actually thinks in multiples. We oftentimes don't just have one experience. We can have a few different views. Another example is, my dad is really sick. He
Mm-hmm.
is struggling with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And so there's one part of me that's like, his soul chose this. His soul chose this experience and this path. And he's learning a lot from a soul level. And it's really beautiful and all of these things. And there's another part of me that's like, this really sucks. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
sad. I miss my dad. I'm having such a hard time with this. And parts work would really take both of these thoughts and these experiences, whether it's the binger, whether it's me with my dad, and sort of look at them and be with them as parts. So
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes you could kind of go to them as a certain age or a certain version of you, say the spiritual version of me with my dad that's like, it's all good. He chose this path as a soul, is more so an older version of me that's very spiritual and wise. And
Mm-hmm.
this one that's, really bummed about her dad being sick might be one that's a lot younger because she misses her dad as she remembered him. So
Mm-hmm.
parts work and really working with ourselves in these parts can help us really understand our emotions, really understand our thoughts, really understand our beliefs, and really to create a softening of ourselves so we can love, honor, and accept all aspects of us with the goal to come into the truth of who we are, which is the capital S self. So
Mm-hmm.
both experiences of the very spiritual side of me and the very sad part of me are aspects of me, but they're not the truth because the truth of me, this like really powerful, like your intuition, your soul, everything, and this is, this self is also very Jungian, is like the most knowledgeable, loving aspect of you where everything is okay and everything is accepted and everything is loved. And it just comes into here. So the goal is to become this most integrated, embodied version of yourself, the capital S self, and be able to see the aspects of you with love and reverence so that you can create more wholeness.
Now foods has truly become part of my everyday rhythm. From morning to night, I start my day with their Xylowite coconut oil toothpaste and my dose of supplements before my morning workout, including methylated B12, vitamin D3, K2, creatine, or whatever supports my wellness needs in that season. I love sipping on my morning matcha with Now's vanilla monk fruit and infusing my water with the red raspberry tea. Of course, we all love a healthy and delicious midday pick-me-up. That's why I like to have their nuts, seeds, and cacao nibs on hand at all times for an easy homemade trail mix. So good. Then, at night, I wind down by diffusing Now's Peaceful Sleep and rubbing a blend of Muscle Zen and their CBD massage oil together to soothe my muscles and joints. What I love most is that Now is quality obsessed. They perform over 31,000 quality tests every month in their world-class labs with more than 150 scientists, ensuring what's on the label is exactly what's in their products. High quality, priced less, and products I genuinely use, love, and trust. To start adding Now to your daily rhythm, enjoy their product by using code WESHINE for 20% off at nowfoods.com. And you've touched on your mom's biggest fear and parts work and like being a prior binger, and you've shared more about like your body acceptance journey. What have been the most powerful tools and shifts, I mean, including parts work, that have helped you just kind of move through that and tune into like embracing and loving your body from energetics to daily nourishment?
Yeah. So listen, this is why I'm so obsessed with the body stuff, is because I never thought in my life that I would be at peace with my body, that I would be accepting of my body, that I would not be tortured by the thought of how much I weighed, of the scale, of needing to lose weight at every turn. I'll never forget, I was walking across my living room in my apartment in Venice, and I was doing the counting of calories, of steps, of what I ate the day before in my workout. And I was just doing all that math in my head unconsciously. I had done that for, 20 something years at that point, and, maybe 20 years at that point. And it was just normal for me. And a part of me just kind of sat there and was like, I think I'm going to die having this pain, having this belief, and having this part of me that is never satisfied with whatever weight I am, that always wants to be less, that always wants to change my body, that just suffers, that just is like constantly with me. And I just kind of like surrendered a little bit. I was like, okay, this is my life, and I'm just kind of live this way. And that really liberated me, weirdly. It liberated me to be like, okay, this is my life and this is what's going on. And it started me on a journey to really heal my body. And so everything that I've learned in my process over the, past 4 years at this point, maybe, I've put in Metamorphosis, which is my body transformation, body liberation program. Because what also happened when I liberated myself of all the negative thoughts and the negative beliefs and the subconscious, loops that I was in, and this part of me that believed she had to be thin to be loved, came a transformation in my body that helped me feel more alive, more beautiful, more radiant, that actually weighed less because I didn't have all this weight on me of pressure, of energy, of self-hate. And some of the things that are in the Metamorphosis program that have been really helpful just as tips for people, I'll say one that's energetic and then practical. So one of the first things was really understanding energetics and energy. So where before I had just approached my body with calories in, calories out, workouts, steps, all of that. I had just been like the basics. Food and workouts was the only way that I'd tried to lose weight. But when I went deeper to the actual energetics of things, where I realized that whenever I was eating, I was rushing. I was telling myself that I shouldn't be eating. I was trying to eat less, and I was always kind of in a stressed, high cortisol state when I was eating. And when I realized that if I could change my thoughts, to soften my thoughts, to allow myself to enjoy my food, to allow myself to slow down, to allow myself to no longer overthink that there was something wrong with my body, then my body would start to listen to those thoughts. It would start to soften around those thoughts. Energetics also can be seen in the ways I was protecting myself. So I was holding on to a lot of weight because I didn't feel safe. My masculine shield was heavy, we'll say. I had this masculine shield that like actually held a lot of weight. So looking at the energetics of things, the thought of things, like not only just the food in out, but the energy of how we're thinking and how we're living. But a practical tool that people can use that seems simple, but, really isn't, is eating one meal a day without distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Just slowing down and sitting with your food, looking at everything you're eating. This sounds so crazy, but so little times do we actually take time to look at the food that we're eating, to
Mm-hmm.
smell the food that we're eating, to like chew it thoroughly, to, just see the texture, to cook the meal that we have. And this reconnection can sometimes be scary, can sometimes be
Mm-hmm.
confronting, but it really is seeing food as nourishment and seeing food as non-threatening and seeing it as something that can support you in your life and be really good for you in the long term and be a relationship with food that feels healthy. So definitely highly recommend doing one of those a day. No food or no phone, no YouTube, no calls, no driving, no nothing. Just taking your time with your meal, having it be a ritual, being thankful for the nutrition, and taking it slow.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's one of the most underrated things that we can
It's
do to like truly take care of our bodies.
mhm. It's
Um,
true.
yeah.
I struggle with it too. I mean, I don't sometimes don't want to do it and want to rush and want to just throw something in, eat something in the car, multitask. Like the other day I was eating my oatmeal in the shower. Like I was like, this is a new level of something.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I didn't feel good about that. I was like, oh, you think that you're being really productive and cool and this is like, but like this isn't like honoring. And so as much as I can, I'll try to take that one meal a day and just eat it without distraction.
Mm-hmm. And with so much wellness noise out there too, like what do you think are the most,
Mm,
in general, overrated and underrated
gosh,
practices?
for reference. So Lindsay and I have been in the game for 10 years doing the podcast. We've received awards for being the top wellness podcast. We've been known in the wellness space for a long time. Now way more spirituality and personal growth, but I've interviewed hundreds of experts in the space. We've received thousands of dollars of product. I've done every single training, tried every diet, tried every trend. Like I am I am versed. And I realized, one time when I was like doing acupuncture and then I was on my way to like a cryo appointment and I was like so stressed out because I had been running from appointment to appointment. I needed to do all of these things. I needed to check everything off the list, that a lot of the things I was doing because I felt like it was going to get me somewhere. Like I was like, oh, if I do all of these things, then I'll be healed or then I'll be better or then something will be fixed with me. And I think the biggest thing is simplification, is really finding the few things that truly work for you,
Mm-hmm.
that you love, that you enjoy, that like are part of a practice you want to incorporate for your life is so much better than having a to-do list of 20 different things that feel exhausting, that don't give you life, that aren't supportive of you. And for me, I'd say those few things are magnesium. Magnesium is so key for reducing anxiety, for helping you sleep, for helping your digestion, for helping your nervous system. Like it's just an essential nutrient. I would also say red light therapy has been so helpful for me for inflammation, for my skin, for my collagen production. I would also say that prayer, prayer helps you
Mm-hmm.
to reduce your cortisol. Prayer helps you to feel more grounded and connected. It also gives you a sense of purpose and a sense of connection. I would also say that there's having more protein. I'll say having more protein. I've been on various diets throughout my life, and I really do believe that since I've had more protein and less sugar, one of my best friends is Jessie, Glucose Goddess. So doing the glucose hacks is also a really good one. And then the last thing is just reiterating that simplification is best, that you don't need to do all of the things if it's not going to make you happier or feel any better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we can't show up for ourselves, then we can't show up for anybody else either.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like live out that purpose and those nudges of like our intuition in a way as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And just going back to like kind of being seen and heard, and even in relationships and with
Mhm.
family and community too, it's like we energetically show up and people feel that, but they also like feel in the way we communicate back to
Yeah.
them as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
So it's like you talk about friendship
Mhm.
breakups and repair and like finding your people in that
Mhm.
authentic community as well. Can you share more about that?
Mhm. Yeah, so friendship is a really great, important topic. I think we focus so much culturally on romantic relationships, like every song and movie and, dating coaches and all this stuff. There's just so much around relationships online because heartbreak is so important. But I think I've probably had my heart broken by women, more than I have by men, even. And friendships are so deeply important to our happiness and to our life and to our experience. Like, it is such an essential thing. Like, and we just think that I think friends are just going to be there, or they're always around, or, that it's easy to come by friends, or it's easy to have relationships, or maybe people think it's difficult. I don't know. But I think it is such an underrated aspect of our lives, and it can be very painful and it can be very purposeful when we look at our friendships. For me and my path, I was in, these relationships with women that were usually codependent. Usually I was like pedestaling them. Usually I was, negating my needs for theirs. Usually I was practicing self erasure. Usually I was always available for them and not available for myself. And I was just kind of practicing these, unhealthy behaviors and habits in my relationships. And that led me to be in relationships that eventually would blow up or not work out or be really draining, or things that I would have to end because they weren't really healthy for me anymore. And I
Mm,
think Lindsay was the first real deep relationship that went way below the surface, that honestly created the template for how now I run in relationships, which is deeply authentic, deeply honest, deeply intentional, deeply purposeful, and deeply loving. Lindsay and I have been best friends for over 10 years now. We run a business together. We've traveled the world together. We share finances. We share future. It's almost deeper than a marriage at some points. And we've managed to figure out how to communicate. And I think one of the things that friendships often overlook, that is the most important thing if you're in a sovereign friendship, is the ability to have rupture and repair.
mhm,
If you are two sovereign people in relationships, you will have rupture and repair. If you never have rupture and repair, you are not being authentic to yourself and you're always just going along with that other person. That's codependency. It is normal to disagree. It is normal to have fights. It is normal to have, to be triggered. It is normal for things to come up. But the way that you are in healthy dynamics is by finding healthy ways to express yourself, to work through triggers, to become closer, and to really find common ground and compassion together. And so communication and using your voice is essential. People think that using your voice is just, I want this, I want that, I'm going to gossip, I'm going to talk about them, I'm just going to like say all this stuff. It's like, no, communication is actually communicating the truth of how you feel as well. So it's not just like, oh, she did this and she's that. It's like, that made me feel uncomfortable, or that made me feel scared. An example with Lindsay is like, there was a time where I felt like she didn't care about the business as much as me.
mhm,
And I was like, I'm pissed. Like, I care so much and I'm doing all this stuff, da 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 da. And that's, the voice of my ego. But the truth is, I feel abandoned and I feel scared because I feel like I care more and I feel like she's going to go away.
mhm,
And when I could come to her in conversation, I could say to her, like, first a security statement expressing the truth. I really love you and I care about this relationship. And I've been feeling really triggered. And I feel like the story I'm telling myself is that you don't care about the business. And it makes me feel really scared. And I want to find a way to feel better. And I'm hopeful we can do that together. And so when you couch and say things like saying things like that, there is very rarely going to be a response that's not really beautiful, but it is something that we've had to really work on. So the last thing I'll say is, for you to be true in your life and be successful and expressed and live the fullest of your potential, it will require you to use your voice to communicate and to express yourself both publicly and in your deep, intimate relationships.
Shout out to Lindsay for cracking you open for your
I know.
female friendships.
She did. She's
And I
everything. Only took her 7 years, probably. I was a tough. Everyone would feel close to me, but I would be like still holding back.
do you think people felt like you're a tough nut to crack in a way?
Some would, but most people would feel very close to me immediately because I'm very warm. But I think then people would kind of get in and they'd be like, oh, she's kind of a little bit harder to, because I didn't trust people. I remember saying that before I started seeing a therapist. Lindsay saw a therapist first, and I was like, I don't trust therapists. What do they know that I don't know? I don't trust people. Like, I was very non trusting of people. because of how I grew up and all the things that I've been through. And so it took me a long time to actually trust someone. And now I can trust so much more easily because I trust myself. I trust the growth that I've done. I trust who I attract. But it definitely was a journey to trusting people and letting them in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you feel like you're able to trust people today? Or do you think people might feel like you're still a hard nut to crack?
Yeah, they could for sure. Like, I have one of my friends, she always says, she's like, you're like a black cat. She's like, in friendship, you're like a black cat. You just kind of are like a little bit elusive. And yeah, some people might think I'm a tough nut. Some people might not. Like, it's not really any of my business. Like, I don't really pay attention to how people perceive me because everyone's going to perceive me differently. So it's like, sure, I am. I'm not. I don't really know. I'm myself.
Well, and I feel like you're one of the most well-connected people,
Mhm.
just with so many friends that are just like so authentic and with such depth. Like, what do
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
outside of truly just being and living as your truest self, like, what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think I'm so deeply grateful for my relationships and my friendships. I was like running through them this morning and just walking through the list and having gratitude for each and every one of them. So I definitely doesn't get past me. Honestly, I think my relationships with women shifted when I completely let go of the need for them and it became like a want. So I had friendships before where I was like, I need them in my life. I need their approval. I need for them to like me. I need for them to accept me. I need them. It was like a wounding. I really was like putting my mother wound on them. And one day I realized I was in this dynamic with a friend where she's still one of my best friends, but I was pedestaling her and I was kind of like putting her intuition above mine. And I was sort of making her better than me in my mind. And I was like, you know what? I need to let go of this relationship energetically and just sit back and be like, I'm okay if we're not friends. And I'm okay if she leaves my life. And I actually did this with every single friend that I have, just energetically. I said a prayer to all of them, even Lindsay. And I just said, I'm okay if we're not friends. And I'm okay if they leave my life. And this actually recalibrated all of those relationships to be more sovereign and more free and allow me to be more of myself because I wasn't in them because of need or attachment. And so it created this spaciousness in all of my relationships where I can have people come into my life and they're just additions to my life. I don't need them. I don't need anything from them. If they add to my life, great. If I add to their life, great. Like it's just more easeful and relaxful. So the less people can be, um, you know, practicing their childhood wounds on their relationships unconsciously and in more sovereignty, the more deep, meaningful relationships they'll have that are expansive and truthful.
And what does it mean to have a friendship audit?
Oh, yeah. So, friendship audit is something I've been talking about for a few years now. My concept. And basically, in my life, a few years ago, I had friendship breakups with a few women in my life. And I'll never forget being like, I don't know if those women were meant to be as close to me in my life. And I don't know if they were meant to have access to me in that way.
Mhm.
And it kind of made me think about my relationships. And I also started to think, why isn't Lindsay getting more of my time? She's my best friend. So meaningful to me. But yet I only talk to her when we're talking about work and I don't really spend as much time with her as I want. And this can
Mhm.
also happen in marriages. So I started to just think about the people that were most important in my life. Lindsay, Jenna, Natalia, whoever they are. And I just wrote them down. I was like, these are people that are going to go the distance, that have been with me for a long time, that I love very deeply, that know me very deeply. And then there's other people that I love very deeply that, we don't see as much or I don't have access to as much or are important in my life, but don't really get that, like, I can call you in the middle of the night vibe. I can
Mhm.
ask for anything from you vibe.
Yeah.
And then there were the people that I love, but more so like acquaintances, people that I knew of the industry. If I saw them at a party, I'd say, what up? And we'd have so much fun, but didn't really like deserve to have a lot of my time, energy, or attention because we only have so much and I needed to spend it with the people that I really loved. So anyone can do a friendship audit at any time. And it's really just looking at where your attention goes, energy flows. So if you are spending a lot of your energy and attention on people that are acquaintances, people that aren't really meaningful to you, people that aren't adding to your life, people that aren't supporting you, you're going to get that back. But what we want to do is spend our energy and attention on the people that love us the most, the people that are going to be there, the people that we can go deep with, so we can continue to foster depth and intimacy in those relationships that really deserve it.
Mm-hmm. And if someone listening has a friend where they're like, they've been a really good friend in my life, and it's time to lower expectations for them based
Mhm.
on the giving and receiving, how does one go about doing that in being in that relationship, but not like through communication or not even having to communicate?
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm always a you shift your energy first and you do your own work first. I'm a communication connoisseur. I love communication. I'm obsessed with it. I always love to communicate. And I do believe that we can do our own work internally. I had this with a friend who I love. I'm obsessed with her. And I was always asking her to hang out. I was always checking in with her. I was always going to her house. I was always sending her things on her birthday. I was always doing everything. And she wasn't. Like when we'd hang out, it would be fun and cool and connected, but I wasn't ever getting reciprocity in return. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to really look at myself. I'm like, okay, the truth is that I'm doing the most and they're not. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to shift the dynamic because I want to be in reciprocal relationships. Maybe she doesn't have more time. Maybe she doesn't have more energy. Maybe she doesn't approach female friendships like I do. Like I'm deeply involved in my female friendships life. So maybe we just have different standards. So I pulled back my energy completely and I stopped reaching out. I stopped communicating or connecting with her. I now see her like once a quarter and it's cool and we love each other. And I took the pressure off of myself to hold the entire relationship on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's calling your energy back. It's focusing your energy on people that give to you. It's stopping trying to knock on the door of the people that aren't answering. It's stopping that little girl in you that's wanting the approval or love from someone that doesn't always want to give it to you. Again, this is an inner child thing where we're trying to get love and approval from people that are not in reciprocal relationships with us. And you have to focus on the people that are really already here to love you and give to you already.
Mm-hmm. And going into those, when having those hard conversations, something you mentioned earlier that is so powerful is the story that I'm telling myself. Like,
Mhm.
are there any of those other
Mhm.
kind of like phrases or reframes going into those hard conversations that you
Mhm.
recommend?
Yeah, this is again this is my obsession and my passion. So a few things. The first thing is security statements. Security statements are essential for hard conversations. This came about from when I was in a previous relationship. I was talking to Lindsay and I was like, he did this, he did that, like da da. I was kind of going on things. I'm going to talk to him and I'm going to say, you did this, you did that, da da da. What if you said, and Lindsay said, okay, cool. What if you said, hey, I love you so much and this is why I want to talk to you? And just lay the foundation of the connection of the relationship being secure. It creates security in the system. We all know what it feels like to get a text that's like, hey, we need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Alarm bells, nerves. That
Yep.
is not what I want to see. So to reduce the anxiety that a lot of us feel in hard conversations, you do a security statement. I love you so much. This relationship matters to me. You are so meaningful to me. This is why I want to talk. You're an incredible friend normally. And so it felt really hard when you did this. I've always found you to be there for me. Security statements are number one. The second thing is the story that I'm telling myself. The story that I'm telling myself is so important because we live in our own heads, in our own reality. So if I would have said to that friend that I was saying that I kept reaching out to her,
Mm-hmm.
the story that I'm telling myself is that you don't care about me because I keep reaching out to you. Because
Mm-hmm.
she might be like, girl, we see each other once a quarter. That feels good to me. I'm complete. I feel great. I don't know, why that's not how I live my life. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a story. I made meaning of the situation. So it's a story. So the story that I'm telling myself is also huge. And the third one is taking breaks and allowing things to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? In my current relationship, it's really beautiful because, we have hard conversations about things and we'll always give spaciousness. We'll say, hey, this conversation doesn't need to get solved today. We can continue to talk about this. I don't need an answer now. So whenever I bring something up that feels hard or sticky or kind of like has some energy to it, I'm always like, hey, you don't need to like fully respond right now. We can continue to talk about this. Because what I've found and what I learned actually in business was when I'd have hard conversations with my team, giving feedback, talking about money or anything else, I would bring something up to them. And, a few days later, they'd come back to me with a response. So sometimes we need to metabolize things. We need to think about things. We need to process things. So giving relationships spaciousness and grace for people to think about things and come back to you rather than expecting them to have an answer or having everything perfect in response to you in that now moment.
Yeah. And when it comes to even like dating or being in romantic relationships as well, like from female relationships to those relationships to like all of our parts, how do you recommend, or like how do you see conscious aligned dating in today's day and age?
So just for background for people. So I was married. I was in a relationship for 10 years. And then I got out of that relationship like almost 3 years ago now. And so I never thought I was going to be dating again. I was like, I'm never dating again. I'm complete. I missed the window for online dating because I got with my partner when I was so young. And so I was like, I'm good. Like, I know everything about dating. I'm married, da 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 da. So God was like, I have something to teach you. And that is, you're going to be in the dating world, and you're going to be in the app world, and you're going to be in the modern dating scene. And it humbled me pretty well. But when I started dating, and I waited a year after that relationship ended to give myself time to recalibrate, to learn some lessons, to integrate some things and do some healing. And then I started dating, after that. And what I'll say about it is that I approached dating as a spiritual experiment. I said that I was here to learn and I'm here to grow, and these relationships are here to help me to do that. So that took a lot of pressure off of every man to be the one. It was such a gift actually to date after divorce, because I didn't see every guy as like, you're my forever, you're my husband, this is everything. Like, I saw people as like aspects of my growth, aspects of my healing, aspects of my life. And so I actually approached things in a really fun and playful way. Like, I didn't take things too seriously. I kind of like, had a lot of fun. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people. I just really allowed myself to be in my confidence and in a flow that I think I'm so proud to say that I have. But what I'll say is that I think oftentimes with dating, people have really negative beliefs about dating and about men and about relationships and about love. So they're like, online dating sucks. The dating pool is miserable. Men suck. There's no good men out there. Love is miserable. And if you have that energy, there is no way that God or the universe is going to say, I'm going to give you the perfect man that is nice, that loves you so much, that's going to be married to you for the rest of your life. Because all of your thoughts and your beliefs are saying that you don't believe that's true and that you think otherwise. And so people really need to get mindful about what content they're consuming, what media they're consuming, how they're viewing relationships, how they're viewing men if they're dating men, so that they can really open themselves up to the possibility and belief that love is possible, love is for them, that finding the one is possible, and that really it's a mind game of you being in the truth of knowing that you're deserving of true love and of partnership and of something and someone that can equally match you. And that even if the world of dating is horrible and dating sucks, that doesn't have to be your world. That I never said dating was bad. Every single person, dating is so much fun. I love dating. I'm having the best time. And it was true. I was having the best time. It was so much fun. All these things, because I chose for that to be my reality. So you can truly choose for your reality to be what you want it to be in the process of modern dating.
Mindset is powerful. We truly shift our reality through that too. And even like men or women, how do we make sure that we're operating not out of performance, but out of that authenticity?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think it's interesting because sometimes we need to perform for it to be authentic. So that's what affirmations are. It's trying a new reality on. So, but the difference is I'm conscious about it. So an example, I used to go to parties and like perform. I'd be like, hey, everybody, like da 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 da. And I was like, subconsciously, my belief was I have to be charismatic. Everyone has to like me because that's how I get love and that's how I'm safe. So I was unconsciously performing. But now I'm conscious. I'm like, before I go into the party, I'm like, okay, how do I feel? What feels true for me? I'm going to walk in, and I do feel like I want to be that charismatic, bubbly version of myself. And I'm going to go do that. Maybe I'm tired and I'm like, actually, I kind of just want to chill. That's how I'm going to be today. So consciously about your performance. Also with speaking. So I work with a lot of speakers, people that are on stages, people that are public speakers, or people that are even speaking on social media. It's going to feel like a performance for you to be an amazing speaker, for you to be an amazing teacher, for you to be an amazing communicator, for you to be an amazing podcaster. It will feel like performance. When I'm having people stretch their voice and speak more loudly and speak with more energy and talk and do all these things, it feels fake until it's your actual reality. So you are going to feel like you're performing, and that's okay. It's just really expanding, again, your capacity to become that future version of you.
Expand that vessel, baby.
Expand that vessel, baby.
So, last question. Your friends call you God's PR person. How do you take that?
It's my favorite. So one of my best friends, Jenna, I'm always on my God tip. And she was like, you're like God's PR person in the way that you talk about him. And we just started to say it. So my journey with God wasn't always easy. I grew up very religious in Ohio, and I felt really disconnected from God. I felt like God was going to punish me, and God only liked me if I did certain things, and God didn't really like women, and that there was no magic available in the universe, and a bunch of different things. So I worked really hard on understanding my own relationship to God and reclaiming God for myself and reclaiming spirituality for myself. And so in that, I discovered that there is a benevolent energy that I'm co-creating life with, and that I am being guided by, and that I'm being supported and loved by, and having that new relationship with a creator that isn't only accessible through church or a book or a place or someone else, and is always available to me, just absolutely transformed me cellularly. And I just want all people to know that they are so deeply loved, they're so deeply guided, they are so deeply on purpose, and that this experience here is collaborative with something and some being that wants the very best for them. It's like my deepest purpose. And so everywhere I go, I bring God in the room, whether that's prayers in front of people when I'm at dinners, whether that's prayers with friends before I go on stage, whether that's prayers for friends, like I did last night on the phone. It's just something that my intention is to just bring love into this experience and bring truth into this experience. It's not to force people to be godly or to go to religion. My God is outside of religion. It's to know how loved and guided that they are.
Yeah, it's so powerful and love it so much. So, what is one truth or reminder you want everyone listening to take away from today?
Something that came through in the Almost 30 book from Lindsay and I. So our Almost 30 book came out in June. It's a guidebook to a life you love. So, so good. I'm so proud of it. But in it, we really realized that you are not behind. You are just becoming. And so many of us feel like we're behind in life, but really you're just becoming this version of you that you're so proud of. So never feeling like you're behind, just knowing that you're becoming.
That's powerful. And I recommend that anybody checks out your book. Like you say, it's like a full meal. It's a big
Full meal.
Yeah, it's a big meaty book, and I love the audio because it's both of you just talking versus me just reading. So where can listeners connect with you, learn from you, start working with you?
Yeah, so I have a lot going on this year that I'm really excited to invite people to. You've been front row seat to that. So I have Metamorphosis, which is my body transformation program. It's a small group coaching program starting in January. So if you want to transform your body and feel liberated from, the prison that we hold ourselves in with our body, highly recommend Metamorphosis. I also have one-on-one coaching that I do with a very few select people. And I'm going on tour for Fully Expressed. So my desire is for women to be fully expressed and to use their voice and to be seen. And I'm going to be doing a few stops for that in California, in London, in Chicago for now. I also have a mastermind. So this is for women that have businesses, that have online presences, that want to be better speakers, that want to get paid to be on stage, that want to be seen and that want to be heard. And that's a very small group of people. But everything's at itskrista.com. So it's ITSKRISTA.com. And you can find me on Instagram at itskrista. And yeah, I'm excited about this year.
Me too. I will also say that Fully Expressed and True Essence, both of those retreats are like truly transformative in different ways. So we'll link in the show notes all the details on all that goodness. But thank you so much for being here. This has been so fun.
Amazing. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you for tuning in to the We Shine Well podcast. If today's conversation lit something up in you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, leave us a review, and dive deeper each week by subscribing to our Substack in the show notes to interact with guests and discover more resources to expand you. Until next time, keep trusting your right next step and keep shining, my friend.